Hey guys, welcome to another show of the Purpose Driven Person Show. I'm Matthew Cox, your host. If you're tuning in for the first time, go to YouTube, smash the like or subscribe button. I was going to say like, and go to Facebook. Follow us on Facebook at Matthew Leland Cox. It's my page. Follow us. And I always point out we're getting started with the merch. My hat. We're just getting some more colors. So I'm excited. So if you comment on any of those or like it, make sure you leave a comment. I'd love to send you one. It's all about purpose driven, as it says on the side here, and we're going to have different colors of the P. So I'm excited, and I'm going to say that word 50 million times because this is a really cool show that I'm going to be doing for you. So I always start out so you understand what purpose driven is. It was my own journey. It's my own journey in life, being purpose driven, overcoming obstacles from a leader, from just being an everyday Joe, just working and trying to make something happen. And purpose driven, as you heard in the first part of the show in the entry, is 4 areas that I really focus on. These are the formulas of going to that high performer, that high level. You know, I've had a lot of coaches over the years, mentors, paid lots of money to get direction. And one of the things I've noticed is a lot of times individuals will coach you the way they think, but at the end of the day, I try to meet people where they were. And what I've noticed when it came to couples, leaders, CEOs, high performer sports, working with people in the UFC, and just working with individuals in general, it was all these 4 areas that I hit on: communication, connection, collaboration, and creation. These are areas. If I'm an artist, if I'm creative, if I'm a fighter, I'm creative, I want to go make something happen. I want to make connections if I'm in the business area, and communication if I'm in a relationship. It was all these areas that either they were really good at one and lacked the other. So these 4 quadrants, why I put them together, are these 4 areas of high performers, is when somebody can learn to be semi-balanced or balanced across the board. You're never going to be perfect in them, but you need to learn to figure out how to heighten and what to do in these areas, because you might be a great communicator, but not such a great creator. And you might be awesome in creating things, but you really suck at communicating, which then hurts all the relationships around you. So you have to look at those. But in this process of finding purpose and finding the motivation as a leader, because being a leader is overwhelming at times, you have to be willing to serve. You can't come into leadership or into business thinking I'm going to serve myself, because you will be burned out very quickly. If you think you know everything, you're going to burn yourself out as well. So you're going to look at this as being a leader equals service. How can I help you? What can I do to serve you? But one thing is overcoming obstacles, is problem solving. And in my life, I've learned that problems are the key to success. If you can learn to solve a problem, you learn to give somebody something they need. If it's a product, if it's a business, if it's a home issue, if it's a relationship issue, it's all about solving the issue at hand. And so today I want to go over a course I created. I'm going to show you. This is a course I made for you. And if you go to the site and you actually go to my website, I'm going to post the course for free. All you got to do is enter your email. You'll get access to the course and the modules, and you can take that course. And it's called Overcoming Obstacles. And, you know, the reason I did this is because I thought, you know, overcoming obstacles are the key to success in all these areas, the 4 areas I mentioned. You know, if I can overcome obstacles in communication, I'm going to go further. If I can figure out how to create, I'm going to be more successful. If I can figure out how to connect and network and have those connections or collaboration, then I'm going to really go a lot further than not having those connections. And so the first thing on this is the power of overcoming. And now I'm cheating because I'm reading my outline. Is that overcoming challenges builds resilience. And this is what I was putting, is you become your best. One of the things in my life, I've had tons of challenges. One is I've shared on here, growing up, learning wasn't my strength. I struggled with it. Today I read and write at a 4th grade level, but I didn't let it define me. but I had to overcome that, and I do it every day. It doesn't go away. A lot of people are like, hey, how did you do it? Well, I just keep pushing because it hasn't gone away. But I learned to become my best in what I'm good at. And that's the key to overcoming challenges, that you might try to think, well, I can do this. And that's just not your strength. And you try to force yourself. You can moderately do it or something. I know I'll never be a freehand writer because my spelling is really bad. My 10-year-old spells better than me. But I know I can be a creator. I know I can be a communicator. And I really focus in those areas of overcoming obstacles. So in my life, I've learned to overcome those deficiencies by just surrounding myself with good and the right people. The art of resilience. It is an art. And this is something I put in this training, is how to conquer challenges to achieve your goals. And it is an art. And the reason I called it an art is you got to be resilient in everything. It's kind of like the book, Who Moved My Cheese? If you're a business owner, great book right now. Who Moved My Cheese? We're in an economy, as I spoke in previous shows or podcasts as well, is that the economy has changed. Our cheese has been moved. It is going to be a very weird and not stable market for a minute. And we have to adapt and go find new sources of cheese. If I'm in the restaurant business, I have to be very creative in those 4 areas. And I have to be connected. And so if I'm going to still stay in the food, if food is my passion, I need to really be very creative, think outside the box, because it might not be the same way. Like, I'm seeing creativity with robotics when it comes to making pizzas. They're doing robotic kiosks. So if pizza is my favorite, I might want to still be in the pizza business, but I might want to look at the technology that's coming out and invest into that and still be in that space. So it's just overcoming. The art of resilience is being very resilient with whatever obstacle or issue that comes. We need to be resilient. 2020 has taught us to be resilient. All areas, physically, emotionally, financially, everywhere, we have to show our resilience. My next part of this course is my favorite. This is the favorite word. It's in my company values. It's in my personal values, is the one word, grit. Grit is such an important word. If you're driving in your car right now, I want you to really think right now. Grit, and I'm looking here at my notes. If you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing me. And I want to do this because I want to get this right, because it took a while to write this. It's the obstacles through persistence, resilience, and writing your own success story. This is powerful because you need to write your own success story. Don't compare yourself against others. Michael Jordan's story is his. Tony Robbins is his. Zig Ziglar's is his. All those people did their own thing. You'll never be them. You need to write your own success story. I've been in this space of creating content. I've seen people that are in this space of creating films, content. You can't be them. You can copy them, but you got to create your own story and your own pulse, because people are gravitated to your story, not their story. I'm not going to tell the story of how this or that. It's my own story, which is grit. What did I do to be gritty to get where I'm at? And a lot of people see the aftermath. Like, if you think about great people like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, all those people are in my space that I really admire, but we always see the aftermath. Hey, look at, there's this after, but we don't see the struggle before. The struggle is what got him there. And if you hear, like, say, Tony Robbins, he's a big name. He struggled. There was a lot of struggle before he made to where he is. And to stay in the space he is, he still has to fight for that space until it's time to move on and pass the mantle, because you can't remain in that space forever. Eventually somebody will take over. So for instance, he worked with Zig Ziglar. He was helping Zig fill the seats. And then Tony came into that space for Zig. So that's the same thing here, is that you have to understand that Tony is his space. Zig was his, but Tony moved into Zig's, and then Zig eventually passed, and he took over that space, and he told his own story in a different way. He didn't copy, he told his story. And that's grit. You got to say, where was I gritty to get here? How are you going to get here? Because everybody has to be gritty. It's very rare when it's just handed to you. Now it happens, but everybody that has fought and built up whatever they've created had to be gritty. You know, rise above, and this is the next concept in this course, is how do you use the material to motivate and overcome obstacles to achieve a wild dream, a big and hairy, audacious dream. How do I rise above it? And I use this concept in a sense of rising above what might be put before you. You know, like I shared with you, I rose above my learning disability, and I don't use it as an excuse. It's not a crutch. It's just, it is what I've been dealt with. Others are going to have similar stories or something different. You know, through my journey coaching, I've heard so many different personal stories of rising above and becoming great. And that's what this course is going to help you, is really define, what is your story? What are you doing? How are you getting it out there? But how do you introduce yourself when it comes to all those challenges? And the last part of this is conquering the challenges, how to develop grit and mental toughness, persistence, and resilience. And this is a key, why I really put this as conquering challenges, is you got to have those key things, which is, like it said, grit, mental toughness. I'm telling you, when you go for something great, when you try to do something bigger than you, you're going to hit walls, you're going to hit ceilings. You're going to have critics. People are not going to want you to succeed. They're going to challenge you. They're going to call you. A lot of jealousy. All those things are going to come at you. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, like my great favorite theorist, Viktor Frankl, says, is when the cause is greater than you, things show up. You don't do things because you want to. For instance, just recently this week, Sir Richards broke his space thing. Now, could he go be doing something else? I was thinking on this a little bit more. What is his grit? What challenge was he trying to overcome? He's in a place in his life with all his success that he wants to break barriers. He wants to stretch himself. And so you saw him and his crew of a few that he took into space, and they did it. They accomplished it. They were the first ones to do a commercial flight into space. That is huge. I don't think everybody realizes how significant in history that is. He accomplished what he was told that could never be done. And it sounds like Elon Musk is chasing at his heels. So he inspired Elon. Elon is now trying to do the same thing. So Tesla's after that same space. Well, I think Elon calls it something different, but it's the same thing here. Why is that person? What is the story? What is the challenge they're trying to overcome? And what is the reason? You got to know the why and the reason. And then you got to go chase it. So really cool course. I wanted to do it for this week, but I'm going to really dive in for the podcast today. I want to take one of these concepts and really share with you why it's so important. So the power to overcome, let's talk about that. So what's stopping you to reach your goals? You know, in these 20 lessons I'm going to give you, this course teaches you and provides you strategies of whatever you're wanting to get out of it. So huge amounts of information. I'm going to give it to you free again. You're going to go to the website, MatthewLelandCox.com. It's going to be posted there by this weekend. All you got to do is put your email. You're going to get access to all the content. And it's there for you because I really, over my life's work in the last 20 plus years, being in the space of mental health, working with families in crisis, and most of all, working with leaders and CEOs and helping them to develop their leadership and understanding. We're not perfect leaders. One of the things I always teach in this overcoming obstacles or overcoming the power of overcoming something is having that ability internally to understand who you are. The first thing I had to do in my life is had to figure out who I was, because I used to fight, am I good enough? Am I good enough in this space? They're going to listen to me. Why would anybody want to? But when it's becoming a leader and you're blazing a trail and you're pioneering something new, you have earned the stage. You have earned the right to be there. Now, will people listen to you? No, you're always going to have critics. You're always going to have people that are very into themselves or narcissistic or have a lot of initials behind their names. But it doesn't matter. Being a humble and high leader, knowing that you have a lot to offer, those that are looking, that are hungry. There's a saying in Confucius, when the teacher appears, the student, when the teacher is there, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Sorry, I just slaughtered that whole thing. But what he's saying is that when the student is ready and they're looking for the right thing, the teacher will appear. And that's where you have to remember. I learned that a long time ago, is when I was ready for a concept, the mentor I needed in that space at that time would appear for me. And it could be a coach, it was a mentor, or somebody I shared space with for a minute, and I learned from them to get me to that next high performing level. So I've had a lot of mentors over the years. I had a lot of coaches. A coach needs a coach, a mentor needs a mentor. And if you're not continuous learning, and if you're in your head, as one of the mentors, Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. But what I've learned too is what persists resists, or what you resist persists. And I've learned that what I would resist, if it was my personal power, my skills, my abilities I knew I had, that I was so scared to share them. Once I learned to let go and have the power to overcome that fear, because fear what is paralyzing in our life. We won't do things, we'll run away from things, we'll give up on things because of fear. And you can't fear it, because you're going to have people, we're in an era of fear-based kind of concepts. And so people that think, hey, you didn't do this, I'm going to blank this, I'm going to come, as you push through and overcome obstacles, the power of overcoming is having the understanding, like it says in the course here, it's really just building that resilience and becoming the best version of yourself. Now let's talk about that concept. What is the best version of you? Like, everybody is trying to, it's such a different world today. Everybody is trying to be a Facebook guru. The reason I do these podcasts is just to share information, because I love teaching. I care less if I get 1,000 likes. If I get one person that watches this, great, awesome. One person that listens to it, if you get something awesome, I did my job. But it's for me. I love giving the content. And unfortunately, the world and the media today is a lot different when I used to do live radio shows years ago. So you're gonna discern through all the content that's put out there. And so really becoming the best version of yourself is knowing your core values. And I used to use this, and purpose is why I do it. So the P and the purpose driven is the whole purpose when I would coach people on how to become their best version of themselves is you have to define your purpose. It doesn't matter what part of life you're in. If you're retired now, if you're in the middle of your career, if you're just starting a career, if you're looking for a career, if you're a student, you will go through this process in every phase of these areas. So if I'm coming in and I'm a student, I'm just getting it, and I'm 18 and I'm figuring it out, I have to decide who I am for the next 25 years. So in my world, when I was in college, I knew I loved to help people, but I didn't want to go in the traditional help field and become a licensed whatever. I just ended up following my heart, and I ended up coaching. I ended up doing seminars, workshops. It was really an interesting journey. But since I was in my 20s, early 20s, like 21, I was around psychiatrists, therapists, very big licensed individuals. And I always absorbed what they took from me, or what I took from them in those settings. And I really understood it, but I put it in a sense I could break down, because it wasn't my calling to go to school and do that. But what I found in my journey, in my own story to become the best version of myself, is I knew I loved to help. And I found it in college when I was sitting in college. When I went to a film class, I learned how to do film. But then I got introduced to this crazy thing called public speaking, and I really gravitated to it. It was something I could do. I could get up, I could speak, I can do what I needed to. I can really read something when I would listen to things. Where I found my skill is not reading books, was listening to the content. And it's so great nowadays. We have these wonderful devices, and Audible and all these great things that you can listen to books. I could absorb it. But one talent I found in finding of overcoming obstacles, if I listen to something, if I really digest it, I can internalize and then put it to use and practice. And so that's why coaching became my thing. Is I loved coaching. I loved the show. I loved soccer. So I ended up in college becoming the head soccer coach of the team for a while, for the men's team. And I loved coaching. I realized, man, this is really cool. And that's when my career kind of went that way. I got introduced to a lot of people. So the journey was becoming my best version. And in that, a lot of different changes, figuring that out. And it didn't finally settle in. I want to help people find their purpose, because as a young kid, I was always told, hey, you'll never do anything. I remember being told I'd never graduate high school because of my learning disability. And so now I was on a mission to help people find their better version of themselves, and also to be happy and live on purpose. And that was my journey. And I took it from a lot of coaches and a lot of mentors. And so overcoming and having the power to overcome something, which I was dealt with, that learning disability, the difficulties. But here's what I want to just share with you as a leader, as a parent, whoever you are listening. The biggest piece is realizing where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. That's what really helped me. I had to realize, hey, these are the cards I was dealt with. I have what's called an intellectual disability. It's a functioning process of the executive part of the brain that my reading and writing and certain parts of mathematics, it was just not going to be my strength. No matter how hard I tried, I was always going to be deficient in that area. Now I'm strong in creation, concepts, problem solving, coaching, helping people overcome crisis. That was my strength. And I really went to that best part of myself and I magnified it. And so for the last 20 plus years, that's what I've done. I've created companies. I've helped really put good teams together. And again, I helped in that process. I was one piece of the spoke in the wheel, because in any concept you do, is there's the hub and all the spokes are part of it. One person can't do everything. And you might have somebody that has the idea, but you have to bring in certain things. It's kind of like Roy and Walt Disney. Roy was a certain part. Walt was the idea person, but Roy was the business and the back end. And that's where, if any concept you see, even the things with Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, all them guys have people behind them that you just don't know about. They're the front, the face, but Elon Musk doesn't do everything. He's the idea. He has to have the technical and the detail people to succeed. If it was up to them, I'm pretty sure each of their organizations would fail if they were by themselves. They can't do it alone. We've all seen their fun little movie star stories. They have a lot of people that helped in the process, even Steve Jobs. He had Steve Wozniak. I can't remember his last name. It was another Steve. It's a weird last name, but they were partners. Steve Jobs was the front. The other Steve was the back end. He was the technical. Steve had a lot of ideas. He understood the basics of the technology, and he got more in depth in it as time went on. But that was the beginning of that partnership. Same thing in your life. And this is what I want to end on. If you're in a relationship, both partners bring strength to the relationship. This is what I would teach all the time as a coach, is you have to nurture the emotional side and the business side of the home. And that's how to have the power to overcoming obstacles in your own home, is realize the strengths, honor those, really look at it. Stop picking apart your partner and look at what they're strong and what you're grateful for. All right, guys, that is the course. I don't want to prolong it, but this is going to be on the site. So I'm excited to get it out there for you, Overcoming Obstacles. Go to the website, MatthewLelandCox.com. It'll be there this weekend. Put in your email and really just enjoy the content. I hope it helps. You can share it, use it among your leadership. But it is all about having resilience, knowing who you are, and having that grit. All right, guys, I'm Matthew Cox, your host with the Purpose Driven Person Show. Like us on Facebook, check us out. Go to iTunes, give us a good review, give us some stars, hit as many stars as you can. And until next time, continue to live on purpose and always remember who you are. Take care, guys.